Good evening. Welcome to the second iPad Parent Night. Thank you for coming out. I hear the roads are not that great, so we appreciate you coming here tonight. We do have a smaller group, but we are going to continue as planned. We have a great night for you. We thank you for being here. Real quick, you should have received a handout when you came in. If you did not, you can head to the back of the auditorium and we will have a staff member give one to you. But this will be your guide for the evening. On the front side, we have our agenda. And then we also have the 2 dates for our next iPad Parent Night. So this is the second out of a 4 series of events that we have planned for you. So please take a look at those dates. The second one is in March. It's Technology Tools in the Classroom. The third one. And then the fourth is our Student Technology Showcase. That's going to be a great event where we are showcasing your students and their work. So we really want you to be a part of that as well. There is a little QR code and also a URL link. If you have a device with you, please take our short 4-question survey. It would help us greatly. And then on the reverse side, we have information. The second part of our event this evening from 7 to 8 will be breakout sessions. We have our district's 21st century teachers here. They spent a lot of time putting together some sessions for you. So you can actually choose 2 sessions to attend tonight. Each are a half-hour long. They're going to be a great experience for you. You can ask questions, and it's going to be an interactive experience. But I am going to introduce, and we are very honored to have Detective Lisa Pettis here with us from the Fraser Police Department. She is going to be speaking on a presentation, Social Media Crimes. This is a very important presentation. It is information for every parent that every parent should know. Some of the examples she may share may seem a bit extreme, but it's really, again, we really want to make you aware of this. It's precautionary, and I don't see any young children in here. If we do have any young kids, they are welcome to go out to the Frey Cafe, just because for a younger age there is some content that might not be age appropriate. But other than that, it's going to be very informative. We appreciate you being here. It's a great presentation, so thank you, Detective Pettis.
Hello. For you parents who showed up tonight, congratulations. I'm really proud to see that you could make it. Unfortunately, there should be more parents here even if the weather's bad, because the school has a wonderful program with the iPads, and you guys are really fortunate to have it. Along with the iPads, we're seeing some issues that I'm going to talk about, though. Just to let you guys know a little background about myself, I am a police officer with Fraser. I've been with Fraser for 20 years tomorrow. Believe that? And I know, can you believe it? Anyway, I've been able to experience a lot of different pieces of law enforcement. I've worked road patrol, I worked narcotics. I was the DARE officer, which was probably my most rewarding up till now. I am currently assigned to the Detective Bureau, and one of my responsibilities is the school liaison. So I get to spend a lot of time at the schools and spend a lot of time with the kids. Oops. Slow down here. A couple things we're going to talk about is common complaints that I'm seeing as the school liaison and that I've seen the last few years with the new social media websites that are popping up. And we just want to give you a little insight, and we're going to go over some examples. One of them is a little graphic, but it's not too bad, but it is a true case. Not in Fraser, but it did happen. With social media websites, new sites pop up every day, and the new sites become old sites very quickly. That's why it's so hard for parents and police to keep up with these kids and, of course, child predators. Facebook. Facebook's really a current site, but it's not a really popular site with the young people today. It's more our age group that stay on Facebook. Here's some examples of the social media sites that we're seeing our youngsters using. Specifically, Twitter is one that I see in the high school and that I've been told about from kids. Also, we have the Instagram. I see that mostly with the middle school and the elementary school, but I do see the high school kids using Instagram, and it is a form of a Facebook. They can share pictures and make comments instantly and communicate pretty quickly on Instagram. Kik is another one. That's another instant message application where they can send messages to each other. Vine, has anybody heard of Vine? Vine's actually pretty funny. My husband and I were looking at these last night. Vine has 6-second videos that they just kind of repeat each other. They keep repeating if you watch them, and a lot of them are pretty funny, and the ones that are on my son's Vine were pretty innocent, so that was good. There's Gift Boom, which is similar to Vine, but it has animated pictures. Message Me is another instant message application. Ask FM. That's one I wanted to mention because I've had a few issues with high school students on the Ask FM. What Ask FM is, it's an instant messaging program, but it has users that are kind of anonymous. You could log on with any kind of username. So you really don't know who you're talking to. And I had one specific young man come and talk to me because he was putting out on Ask FM that he was kind of having a bad day. He was feeling kind of down. And he got about 15 comments from like 5 random people on how he should kill himself. And they were very graphic in how they explained to this young man who was having a bad day. He had a series of issues with his family. His father had killed himself in the past. His mother's having some health issues. And he suffers some emotional issues himself. So here he is just putting out there how he's feeling. And then all of a sudden, some students or people anonymously, you don't know who they are, start explaining to this young man how he should kill himself. And then 5 other individuals got into a conversation telling him details of how he could kill himself. So he had come to me saying, Officer Pettis, you've got to find these guys. You've got to find them. I'm so mad. Thank God he came to me, but the reality is I have no way of tracking them down. So I told him, get off Ask FM, and I'm putting the word out there. If you see that on your child's social media, you might want to consider taking it off, because that's just an example of how that website's used. And then the Snapchat. Is anybody not familiar with Snapchat? Snapchat's a new app, and what it is somebody can take a picture of themselves and send it on a Snapchat. You open it up, and you can look at it, and then after, I believe that's also like 5 to 10 seconds, it disappears. What does that mean? Child sexual predators. They like Snapchat because they can befriend somebody, pretending that they're another child, get them to send an inappropriate photo of themselves, and it disappears. And the teenagers like it because they know that parents can't really, you can't do any kind of investigation on that website. Currently, if there's crimes that are committed on that, it's very hard for police to investigate. Because once again, it's just a new app that we have to catch up with. There is a way if somebody sends you say the kids think that it just disappears. If you click 2 things on your phone, you can actually take a snapshot of that and it freezes it. So say a kid doesn't know this, a girl sends a picture of herself nude to her boyfriend, he snapshots it and freezes it. Now he saves that on whatever device that came to him on. Does everybody understand that? So Snapchat's another one. Kids go on it. Am I saying for you to take it away from your children? No, just be aware of what that can do. Okay, who doesn't have a cell phone? The iPads are great, but probably 70% of the students have an iPhone or a cell phone. Raise your hand if your kid's cell phone has internet access. If your children's cell phone has internet access. That means that your child has at their fingertips access to any social media websites that we mentioned on their phone. Phones are good for many uses. My son's trying to talk me into getting him a phone because all his friends have it, but then in my mind I'm thinking, well, it's a good way that I could keep tab on him. At least when he's out I can check with him and keep an eye on him. But the kids use it mostly for texting. They don't even like talking on the phone anymore. And they like using it for taking pictures if they have phones. And most cell phones have the phone application right on it. Like I said, if you have internet, you have access to all the social media websites. Let's talk about what I'm seeing and what some of the crimes that occur through cell phones in particular, but also they can be used on any of the social media websites. But these are common phone crimes that we deal with every day at the police department. Threatening. If somebody threatens somebody on the phone, most of the times it's text, so it's documented. That could be considered malicious use of a telecommunication device, and it is also a misdemeanor. Harassment. A boyfriend and girlfriend break up with each other. The girlfriend doesn't want to let go. I'm just using the girl as an example. She keeps texting him, bothering him. The police are contacted. We inform her to leave him alone. She continues. It can be a form of stalking, which could be a misdemeanor or a felony offense. The biggest one we're going to talk about that I see, sexting or the creation of child sexually explicit photos. And this includes sending, creating, possessing, or even soliciting, asking for the pictures. And anybody under the age of 18, if there's a naked or a half-naked picture, that is considered child pornography. And we're going to talk about how I'm seeing this activity go on at all ages, and not just in Fraser High School, but everywhere. Sexting. Let's talk about the legal version of sexting and other versions of sexting. But sexting is the act of sending sexually explicit photos, primarily between cell phones. In Michigan, sexting between minors can expose them to minor criminal charges, or can expose a minor to criminal charges for creating, distributing, or forwarding, or possessing photos. What do these numbers mean? These are important numbers which I share to the students, and I'm going to also share with you. Creation of sexually explicit material, child pornography. So say that a girl takes a picture of herself. She's creating it. It's a 20-year felony in the eyes of the criminal justice system. And that person will have to register as a sex offender. If they solicit it and they ask, we're going to use an adult who's soliciting these pictures. They can be charged with a 20-year felony or sex offender registry. Distribution, sending them and forwarding them, it's a 7-year felony. And you also have to register as a sex offender. Possession, 4-year felony. What's the sex offender registry? It's a pain in the butt for somebody who gets on it. And there's a lot of people who deserve to be on it, but there's also some people who are on it that might not necessarily deserve to be on it. But if they're on it for up to 25 years, and their life is in the hands of the legal system. It was created by legislatures, and the Michigan State Police keeps a database of all the convicted sex offenders. Has anybody ever gone on the sex offender registry to see who lives by you? It's very helpful, so we know where the perverts are, but there's also people convicted of crimes that might not necessarily need to be on there, but they're forced because of the crimes that they're charged with and convicted of. Creation, solicitation, distribution, and possession of child sexually explicit material are all offenses that require you to register as a sex offender. So if we have some young man who gets charged and convicted of having an inappropriate photo that's considered child pornography, he will have to register as a sex offender. I'm going to just kind of break it down to you. So we have a boy and a girl that are dating. Guy asks his girlfriend to send him a picture. She creates it, sends him the picture. They stay together. He keeps it on his phone. They break up. He forwards it to some friends. They forward it to some other friends. These 5 people could be charged with distribution of child pornography. She would be charged with 1 count because she forwarded it to her boyfriend. She could also be charged with the creation of it because she took the picture of herself. He would be charged with 3 counts because he forwarded it to 3 friends. So he's looking at 3 counts of distribution, which is 3 7-year felonies. Depending on, now these 3 people, if this guy at the top just sent it to 1 person, he'd be charged with distribution. So it depends on how many people that person forwards or distributes that picture to. Does everybody understand so far? What I see is a parent might, this is what I'm seeing in Fraser. A parent can file a complaint because they're looking through their child's phone. Oftentimes it's a daughter, okay? Because for some reason if a dad finds pictures of girls on his son's phone, he might yell at them, but he's not going to call the cops. Often it's a daughter, she finds a picture of a boyfriend or sees that she sent her picture out to someone, asks, she contacts the school calls me. While we can prosecute that person who has the photos, we can't control where that picture's been or where it's at. Surveys show 40% of teens report being shown explicit messages or photos. 20% report having shared such messages and photos. 20% of teen girls say they have electronically posted it online, nude or semi-nude. 33% teenage boys say the same thing, that they've posted photos of themselves. And this is a national survey. This isn't just Fraser's survey. In Fraser, last week I was lucky enough to talk to over 200 health class students. I took, by a show of hands, I had asked the students, how many of you had either seen on your phone or seen on somebody else's phone nude or semi-nude pictures of somebody you know or somebody that's a minor? At least 25% of the kids in the classes raised their hands. Now, they weren't saying they had them on their phones. They're just saying they've been exposed to it. One of my investigations this year, I talked to a young man. This was really a learning experience for me. He was very cooperative, great kid, but he had a picture of a girl that I was investigating. She said her picture was sent out. I called him in. During the course of my investigation, he tells me he had at least received at least 10 pictures from 10 different girls under the age of 16. He said like 15, 16 years old, in nude or half-nude photos. He also told me that, well, it wasn't just the girls sending it to me. It's like, he's like, a couple of my buddies, their parents look at their phones, so when they go home, they forward the pictures to me. I hold on to them, and then if their parents look at the phone, I send them back. So he was holding on to pictures of his friends' girlfriends or his friends naked because they knew mom or dad was going to look at their stuff. They cleared it out, and then the next day he sent it back. It's pretty clever, I thought. So let's keep it clean. If we're going to have any kind of nude pictures or inappropriate pictures, let's hope we do it something like this. Hopefully it's really not our bra, it's somebody else's too. All right, let's talk about another issue I'm seeing is bullying. Repeated harmful acts, an imbalance of power, physical, verbal, or psychological attacks against a victim or student. Most of the time these students can't defend themselves for different reasons, whether it's their size, strength, or because they're psychologically resilient. They're just less resilient, they can't handle it. Almost 30% of our youth across the nation are reporting that they've been involved in some kind of bullying, whether they're the victims or the perpetrators. And this percentage is growing, and I think we all know why. Because now we have access to the internet and these social media websites and cell phones. Cyberbullying can take many forms: emails, instant messaging, texting, online bulletin boards, people impersonating each other because they have each other's password and they can get onto somebody else's Facebook account and say things. Flaming and bashing, that's just bantering back and forth. That's through text or any kind of social media. So we get a lot of problems as far as bullying goes. And sexting. All right, in this situation, who's the bully? This is a true case. It's not a Fraser case. It's actually a case, I think it's out of state, but I got this information from the prosecutor's office. This young man was dating this girl's best friend. She got a hold of her best friend's phone. He tried sending her some messages. She basically told this kid that he was worthless, that he didn't deserve the girl. They kept bantering back and forth. His brother had killed himself recently. She started throwing that in his face. He rode his bike up to her school. Another student pointed her out, and he proceeded to beat her. He kicked her at least 7 times in the head. She was in the hospital for several days. I don't even know what the outcome was, but he's looking at a 50-year sentence. They never met. This was all through texting on the cell phone. This year, the common issues as far as bullying and arguing, a lot of times this is happening. And I'm not just saying at the high school, this happens at all ages, but students are threatening each other by cell phones or through the social media websites. Oftentimes during the school day, we'll have a conflict in a hallway. These girls, it's often girls, they have access to each other's cell phone number. They go to class and they just sit there and entice each other the entire time. Instead of resolving their issues, they're just calling each other names, building on this incident till it escalates to a fight in the hallway or after school. And I'm using females as examples because it seems to me that I deal with a lot more incidents with girls. Guys, they do have incidents on the cell phones, then they get into a fight and it's over. Girls, we just drag things on and on and on, and we love the drama. So, parents, get involved in, oh no, this is not get involved. This is some parents do get involved. So I've got 2 girls that are fighting. They used to be best friends, so the moms know each other. So then the moms get involved. And now the moms start texting each other and threatening each other. And threatening to meet up at locations and have fist fights. So now am I only dealing with high school students having these issues, I'm dealing with parents having these issues. And I'm literally taking police reports and taking harassment complaints because not only are the students fighting, but their parents are now involved. And they're not resolving the issues, they're just escalating the issues. They're allowing their kids to be involved in these arguments on the social media websites, and they're putting it out there as well. So note to self, don't get pulled in. You want to protect your child, but do it in a healthy way. Don't get sucked in and start bantering with the other parent. Can't be it. No, I think that's it. Anyway, those are the issues that I'm seeing with the social media websites. Mostly it's the sexting, the bullying, and harassments, and it leads to legal problems. So with that, does anybody have any questions? Comments?
Let's say somebody sends a picture to your child. Yeah, if somebody sends a picture to your child, they have it on their phone. Are they in possession of?
Yes, they are. The question is, they delete it. If they don't keep it on their phone, they're not possessing it. And that's what I had talked to the health classes about. One of the things I explained, if somebody, you can't control what you're receiving. You're only in control of what you do with it. So if they get it, they delete it, but oftentimes they don't delete it. And one other incident that happened was this girl, she sent a picture of herself naked to a boy, and he had left his phone in his house. He had a sleepover with some of his buddies. One of the guys got a hold of the phone and forwarded the picture to himself. He didn't do it. The kid who received the picture from the girl, his intentions weren't to send it to anybody, but his buddies spent the night. One of the guys got a hold of his phone and forwarded it to himself. And then it was a nightmare, trying to track down who got a hold of that picture. This girl's reputation was at stake. It was a big debacle. The biggest thing is, if a parent really wants to pursue criminal charges, we will prosecute. The prosecutor will not back down. If there's a parent of a young girl whose picture's out there, or guy, and that parent wants to prosecute whoever they are, whether they're 15, 16, 17, the prosecutor will do it because they want to make sure that this doesn't continue. So I've been explaining that to the students. I hope you can pass it on to them as well. You got another comment?
Okay, sure, yeah. Same situation, somebody sends something to your child and you want to prosecute them, how do you prove they sent it if you keep it?
Well, he's asking if you keep it to prosecute, how do you avoid possessing it? You're using it to help pursue a criminal investigation. So what's going to happen, and another thing is, if a device that is located by the police that has sexually explicit material, we seize that device. Because if you had that, our investigation may deem us to have to keep that device as part of the investigation. And if you're a suspect or you're somebody convicted, you don't get your device back. Somebody else had a question?
What is a website that you can go to see if there's any sexual predators in your neighborhood? That you can go in and check that out or something?
You can just Google Michigan sex offenders. I believe it's Michigan Sex Offender Registry, but if you Google Michigan sex offenders, it'll show you which website it is. I don't know the exact website offhand. Well, you know what? Just so you guys know, we can get you the information on all the websites that we're familiar with. You can just call the high school and ask for me. I have a direct line, it's up there, but you can just call the high school, ask for me, or call the station, and I can forward you the websites that I have information on. Okay? All right, thanks so much for your time. I'm really enjoying working with the students and the faculty here, and if you guys need anything, I'm here for the next 3 years. Please don't hesitate to call. It takes a family and a village to raise a child, so I'm part of that.
Thank you very much. One more time for Officer Pettis, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks. Okay, so at this point, we're going to be going into our breakout sessions. If you are interested in continuing this conversation and learning more about this, in the Media Center, we're going to have 2 different breakout sessions, but in the Media Center, the Michigan Cyber Safety Initiative is going to be there, and they're going to have a lot of information for you to learn more about Snapchat or any of those other items that are out there. Just more internet safety tips for parents, too.
Now, what we're finding, though, is that children aren't just surfing the web. They are creating public content. And, it might not seem like a big deal or, but what we have to realize, this isn't innocent fun. This is, having short and long-term consequences to, what our kids are doing. Now, we want to remind the students that other people are watching their digital footprint. So let's talk about who is watching our digital footprint. Parents, teachers, and coaches. There are actually some private schools that I have gone into that the students have to sign a contract that says that we will look at your social networking sites. That is our right, and we can do that. Okay, so schools are doing it, and there's also employers that are doing it. But as far as how it affects our kids, is our coaches and our teachers are also doing it. Okay, now when I say coaches, I know for a fact my kids go to Utica schools, and my daughter actually had last year she had cuts made on a cheerleading squad, on a football team, and also on a soccer team, based on information that these kids shared in Facebook and Twitter. So when they're making inappropriate comments, they're being cut from teams. People are watching, okay? And what these kids don't understand is if you are not using privacy settings, anyone can see anything that they want to see. And I've met with high school students that don't use privacy settings. So, and the thing is, even if you use a privacy setting and your friend doesn't, guess what? I can see everything you say anyway, especially on Facebook. So that's what we like to make sure that the students understand. Now, also we have employers, law enforcement officers, and college admission officers that are watching the digital footprint. And at my daughter's school, yet again, 930 graduating students in her class. She had a girl last year that was a graduating senior, and she received a 4-year soccer scholarship. And like a month or so after she received that scholarship, she got a letter in the mail. And this college here in the state of Michigan told her that she was not the type of person that deserved their scholarship, and they pulled it. And that was based on comments that she made about her family on Facebook, like numerous inappropriate comments about her family. Guess what? She's not going to college. She's in community college. You know, she lost her dream, and it was 4 years of college that was going to be paid for. So people are watching, whether we like it or not. Who else is watching? Internet predators. Internet predators go where our kids go. The prime target for an internet predator, whether you're a boy or a girl, is between the ages of 13 and 15. But what we have to remember, even if our kids are younger, if they're on Instagram or Facebook, the minimum age for Instagram and Facebook is 13. So if they're on Instagram or Facebook, they are a prime target, because they're really saying that they're 13 to be in those places. Now, I talk to the students, and I tell them that we can't talk about, protecting their reputation without staying away from sexting altogether. Now, you heard about sexting in, the previous conversation with the liaison officer. And basically, as she talked about, anyone that takes a nude picture of anyone under the age of 18, okay, the picture has to be of someone under the age of 18. It is a felony, and it's punishable by up to 20 years in prison. And here in the state of Michigan, they aren't playing around, okay? 2 years ago, we actually even had a girl that was 13 that was put on the sex offender registry for it because she kept doing it. And the judge wanted her to stop. So you couldn't go to the public sex offender registry and see her because you can't see her until she's 18. But, you will see her when she is 18. Law enforcement could still pull it up, but you couldn't see it until she's 18. But, it's a little hard to find a job or go to college when you're on the sex offender registry. Now, the next video that I'm going to show you, this is actually a new video. I did come in and talk to Fraser Schools, and I did show them a sexting video as well. And this one is a little bit different, but it shows how easy it is for a private message to become public.
Check that out, boys. I had to send this smart.
Send that out now.
We remind the students that anything that they post on the internet, we want to remind them, they need to just remember that it's just going to be public, whether you like it or not. And let me just kind of explain what I mean by that. Let's say that your daughter took a picture and she posted it on Facebook, okay? And then maybe 10 seconds later she thought, you know what, maybe that wasn't a good idea. I want to take that down. Guess what? It's still there. Who did it go to in those 10 seconds, number one? But it is still in your digital footprint, and it's still on your hard drive, okay? If one of my agents needed to come in and find that picture, it would take them about 5 minutes, okay, honestly. They'll find it. So, and kids think that they're gone. Even like the next video I'm going to show you is Snapchat. Now, the liaison officer did talk about Snapchat, and the thing about Snapchat, a lot of times kids are sharing inappropriate pictures, like sexting pictures, because they think that that picture is gone in 10 seconds. But unfortunately, it is not, okay? It is still on your phone, even if you delete it. And the video I'm going to show you is actually, it was really a newscast in another state. And this police officer actually took pictures and he posted them on Snapchat. He deleted them from his phone. And then he took his phone and he downloaded all the information. It took a while to take everything off of his phone. And guess what? Those pictures were still there. It creates like a little file. They are not gone. And that's what kids don't understand, okay? So I'll show you an example of what I'm talking about.
Fast Snapchat, there's a glitch to the niche.
Utah companies figured out that the pictures taken for that popular smartphone app do not disappear in time after all. The specialist Andrew Adams reports from Orem on how to protect yourself and your family.
The idea with Snapchat is you can take a picture of yourself like this, you can send it to somebody, and after they view it for about 10 seconds, nobody can ever view it again. It's gone, right? Not exactly. Here at Decipher Forensics, they've actually figured that the picture never leaves the phone and actually can be uncovered. There it is right there.
And we can just extract these out, put them on a thumb drive, and give them back to parents or law enforcement.
This is digital forensics examiner Richard Hickman's baby, and he walked us through the steps.
First step is to, plug in the phone. We'll extract all the information.
Depending on the amount of data, it can take hours before we're to this point, but eventually you get here.
There's a folder called Received Image Snaps. And here they are.
Pictures, Hickman says, he deleted with his own hands.
I knew that I deleted that one along with that one. I looked at those in Snapchat, and here they are, still here.
What's the takeaway? Hickman says Snapchat ultimately doesn't provide the protection it promises. Racy Snapchat pics get tucked away on phones for life because the app doesn't wipe them. It just adds the extension .no media.
All that you need to do is extract that picture and delete that new extension, and your picture is there.
So basically, we remind the students that they need to think before they send a text message or post a photo, okay? And they need to know what the consequences are. And sometimes, with sexting, that can be up to 20 years in prison. Just like she said, I've talked to the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office, and just having a sexting picture on your phone is 4 years. And if you send that to one person, it's 7. And if you solicit it, which means more than one person, it's up to 20 years. So, we try and get that point across to the kids because to them, they really think it's just kind of a game, And we also want to make sure that they're protecting their reputation. I tell them, I can't protect your reputation. Not even your parents can. Because you are the ones on the internet every day. So you need to think about what you're sharing. And, I don't know if everybody knows too, but with your iPad, you can still take pictures, okay? So everybody knows that, right? So you can take pictures with that as well. So we'll talk about a couple, concerns with that, just of things to be careful of. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is geotagging. Now, raise your hand if anybody knows what I'm talking about when I talk about geotagging. Anybody heard of, sort of? Okay. Let me click to the right screen here. All right. Geotagging is adding geographical information to pictures and videos and text messages and that type of thing. What you need to worry about is, now let me give you an example. Let's say that your child or you have a smartphone or an iPad. Okay, when I say smartphone, that means a Droid, a BlackBerry, or an iPhone, or an iPad, or even an iPod Touch, because you can take a picture with an iPod Touch, okay? Basically, if they take a picture, and then let's say they upload that picture to maybe Instagram or Facebook, okay? But the picture that they took is of them and one of their friends at your house, okay? Well, then they upload that picture, and then somebody else, looks at the picture, and I've done this with my friends' pictures to make sure that it really works, okay? Basically, what I did is I got on, they posted their picture. I took that picture and downloaded it onto my computer, and all you do is run your mouse across it, and you use your right click, okay, your right clicker. It will show 2 squares of information about that picture. It will actually show the GPS coordinates of where that picture was taken, okay? So if that picture was taken in your house, it will show the GPS coordinates of how to get to your house. The ways to prevent that, okay, on an iPhone or a Droid or, an iPad or whatever, you need to go into your settings, and then you go into privacy settings, and it's called location services, okay? And what you do is you turn just the camera off. It's not going to make it so that you can't find your phone. Like on my iPhone, I have an app so that if I lose my phone, it's going to find my phone, okay? It's not going to turn any of that off. But you can actually turn it off even on Facebook. Like, let's say, you know, I have a friend who thinks this is like the greatest thing, okay? I can see everywhere that he goes. He's at Dairy Queen, he's at Taco Bell, that's because his location services are on, okay? You can turn that on and off in Facebook, or you can turn it on and off on your phone, all right? There are even cameras, like new digital cameras, that actually have geotagging as well. The information is called metadata, okay? And it is 2 boxes of information about your picture. It's actually kind of scary. Now, Facebook used to strip the pictures, and they don't do that anymore, of course. But there is a way, if you're confused or you want to know how to turn it off on your phone or your device, all you do is Google it and just say, how do I turn geotagging off on my whatever, okay? There also is free software that you can get off the internet, totally free, that will strip all of your pictures from geotagging. So it's a really good thing. You know, my husband likes it on sometimes on his phone because it will say, like, if we're on vacation, it's going to say where we were, like what city, country, or whatever we were in. But honestly, you know, you need to strip it before you send the, post the picture somewhere. Well, let's see, what's the next subject here? Well, I think at this point we need to talk about our apps. Switch to a new page. Okay. Oh, actually, this is just the page that you guys have. It's actually a little handout. And if you want to go to that one, oh, well, when we're talking about geotagging, hold on a second. So I told you how to disable. What? Oh, we're going to go to 27. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. Usually I just use my clicker and it takes me where I need to go, and today I had to, be difficult. So. The other thing that I want to talk about is terms of service, because your children actually download apps, okay, onto their iPad or their iPhone or whatever, and the terms of service is sort of like the agreement that you sign, basically that allows your kids to use that app, okay. Now the reason I bring this up is in December, Instagram actually decided at that point that they could take your pictures that you post on Instagram and sell them to a third party without your consent. And the Federal Trade Commission and the Attorney General's office was not going to let that happen. So we have been negotiating with them for about 11 months. And they have kind of backed off and said, okay, that's fine, we're not going to do that. But what we're finding is there are other apps that kids are downloading, and the Federal Trade Commission is researching it right now, that are actually siphoning like the ID off the phone, the name of the child, and personal information off of the phones when the children sign up for the apps. Or anyone, it's not even just your kids. But a lot of times kids don't look at the terms of service. And we kind of reminded the kids about the whole Instagram thing because we wanted to make sure if they change that policy, they have to legally let you know that. When you go in to sign in for Instagram, it has to say, this is our new terms of service. And if you say, okay with me, without reading it, guess what? They're going to sell your pictures. It's a $10 billion marketing industry, and they would love to sell your pictures. Google Plus even started this new, how like, let's say if you go on Google Plus, maybe you like a bakery, and you say, oh, that bakery's really good, the bread was great, and whatever, and you make a little comment on Google Plus. Well, guess what? If you don't sign their little waiver, they will use your name, and it will actually show up to other people, and it will say, Lori maybe really liked the bread at such and such bakery, without me saying it's okay. But if you don't sign the waiver that you don't want them to do that, they will. Okay? So there's lots of things that we have to kind of be paying attention to, and trust me, the Federal Trade Commission is all over it. There's just so many, things to look out for. Let's see. Now, are there any apps, though, that any of you have concerns with? There's a couple on the list that I want to talk about that you guys have, that list that you have. Just because there's been a few that have been directly linked to, some really serious situations, just like the liaison officer said. Not even, just here in the state of Michigan, but all across the country. So are there any apps that your kids are downloading that you're concerned about or have a question about? Okay. The two that I really want to talk about on the list are Kik which is a texting app, and then also Ask FM. And both of these, so, with Kik, a lot of kids will still use it even though they have texting on their phone. But if their friend doesn't have texting, then it's just another way to communicate. But sometimes it's just fun to, communicate through Kik. But the issue with Kik is that it's anonymous. Okay, you don't have to say who you are. And I can tell you just from, my kids using it, they have received some really inappropriate messages, okay? Because they can be anonymous. But we've had serious issues with Ask FM and Kik being related to suicides. Just like she had mentioned here in Future. So, and the problem with that is being anonymous, a lot of times it's really hard to track them down. Now, there are ways to do that, but it's, pretty expensive, and not in every situation you're going to do that, okay? Because we can usually go through IP addresses or whatever we need to do, but it just depends, on the situation. Are we going to spend the money to do that? It depends on who we're looking for. Now, are there any questions on the handout at all? About any of the apps or anything like that? Let's see, how much time do we have? We have about, 5 minutes? I think what I'm going to do is we will go to... Okay. This is probably time to start wrapping up. Is it? Okay. Yes. Okay. Yep. I just want to go to the first page of the sex offender registry. Okay. There is a way that you can actually ask for email updates. If you go to the sex offender registry, it's actually www.michigan.gov/MSP, Michigan State Police. And when you go to that, it'll walk you through how to do everything. But you can ask for email updates so that you know when someone moves into your zip code. Okay, so it's really, really useful information. And we don't want you to hunt people down, But there are people on there that maybe urinated in public. Okay, well, I can tell you what, you can see what they have done, and that is not what most of the people on this list are, okay? There are 3 tiers. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. Tier 1 is 15 years, Tier 2 is 20, and Tier 3 is life. It's not 25, it's life, okay? So these lists don't get smaller, they get bigger. So it's definitely something that we need to keep track of. Anyway. Now, are there any questions, though, that you have for me, like something that I didn't cover? I didn't really know exactly what the liaison officer was going to cover, but, I thought what I showed, kind of enhanced it a little bit. So, are there certain things that your kids are doing on your iPads that you have questions about, or something like that? Any concerns? All right. Anything else you want me to cover in my last few minutes?
I think it's been very enlightening. I don't think I realized things like pictures and whatnot never leave the phone.
And that's what we want the kids to understand. Because even how she said you can take a screenshot, like let's say somebody sends you a picture on Snapchat and maybe they could, quickly take another screenshot of it, and keep that. It's not even that anymore. It's that it is on your phone forever. And kids they have no idea. And that's how they're doing sexting and stuff right now because they think that it's gone in 10 seconds. It's not. Very scary.